Who really was the devil who tempted Jesus in the wilderness? Was he a horned demon, a fallen angel, or something far more mysterious? Today, we're diving deep into one of the Bible's most dramatic moments, the 40 days Jesus spent fasting, only to face the ultimate test. But what if I told you the identity of this tempter holds secrets that could completely change how you see good, evil, and the spiritual world? Get ready, because we're revealing the shocking truth behind the devil in the wilderness, and it's not what most people think. Let's uncover the mystery together. The name Satan and the term the devil are among the most charged and evocative words in religious history. They conjure images of a cosmic rebel, a red-skinned demon with horns and a pitchfork, or a suave deceiver whispering temptation. In Christian tradition, these two identities, the devil and Satan, are often treated as one and the same. But was it always this way? How did this equation arise? And what does it really mean? This essay traces the devil's identification with Satan through history, theology, and cultural imagination, revealing a story far richer and far stranger than many realize. 1. The Hebrew Bible. Satan the adversary. To understand how the devil became equated with Satan, we must begin in the Hebrew Bible, Old Testament. The word Satan in Hebrew simply means adversary, accuser, or opponent. It's not originally a proper name, but a role. Consider a few Old Testament examples. Numbers 22:22. An angel of the Lord stands as a Satan against Balaam, blocking his path. Here, the Satan is not evil, but an agent of God enforcing divine will. 1 Samuel 29 verse 4. The Philistines feared David might become their Satan, i.e., an adversary. Job 1-2, the clearest early biblical Satan. Here, the Satan, Hebrew ha-Satan, appears in God's heavenly court, acting as a prosecutor. He roams the earth, seeking grounds to test human loyalty. He challenges God about Job's righteousness, leading to Job's suffering. In these texts, Satan is not a cosmic rebel nor the embodiment of evil. He's a subordinate figure, a divine official allowed to accuse or test humans. Key point. In the Old Testament, Satan is often a job title, a heavenly adversary, not yet the devil of later theology. 2. The evolution of Satan. Second Temple Judaism. Between roughly 500 BCE and 100 CE, Jewish thought underwent significant changes. This period, called Second Temple Judaism, saw Jews living under foreign empires and wrestling with deep questions about evil and suffering. Several factors fueled a new vision of Satan. Influence from Persian dualism. Under Persian rule, Jews encountered Zoroastrian ideas about a cosmic battle between good, Ahura Mazda, and evil, Angra Mainyu. This sharpened Jewish thinking about a supernatural evil power. The problem of evil. In earlier texts, God is both the author of good and the source of calamity. Isaiah 45 verse 7. But as Jews faced national trauma, like the Babylonian exile, some thinkers sought to separate God from direct responsibility for evil, assigning blame to rebellious spirits instead. New literature reflects this development. 1 Enoch, ca. 3rd century BCE, 1 St. century CE. This collection of writings describes rebellious angels who fall from heaven, mate with women, and produce giants, Nephilim. These fallen angels become demons who corrupt humanity. Dead Sea Scrolls. The Qumran community wrote about Belial, also called the Angel of Darkness, a supernatural leader of evil forces. Testament of the 12 Patriarchs speaks of Beliar as the ruler of lawlessness, tempting humanity. While Satan appears in some of these texts, figures like Belial, Mastema, Azazel, and Samael also emerge as distinct cosmic evildoers. The boundaries blur. Satan is no longer merely a divine prosecutor, but morphs toward a malevolent cosmic enemy. Key point. In Second Temple Judaism, Satan evolved into a supernatural opponent of God, laying the groundwork for the Christian devil. 3. The New Testament. Satan becomes the devil. By the time of the New Testament, the link between Satan and the devil crystallizes. Names and terms. Several terms overlap. Satan Greek, sigmalphatalphanu, satanas, the adversary. The devil Greek, delta iota beta omicron lambda omicron diabolos, literally slanderer or accuser. The evil one, Beelzebul, lord of the flies. The tempter, the prince of this world. Although different names appear, the New Testament consistently portrays one malevolent being behind temptation, deception, and cosmic opposition to God. The temptation of Jesus. The Gospels record Jesus being tempted in the wilderness. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. Matthew 4 verse 1. The Greek uses ho diabolos, the devil, but Luke also calls him the devil and the tempter. He offers Jesus bread, power, and a miraculous rescue, all echoing Israel's wilderness tests. Here, the devil equals Satan, the chief adversary. Other New Testament passages. Jesus sees Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Luke 10 verse 18. Satan enters Judas to betray Jesus. Luke 22 verse 3. Peter warns the church that your adversary the devil prowls around like a roaring lion. 1 Peter 5 verse 8. Revelation calls Satan the great dragon, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan. Revelation 12 verse 9. This last verse explicitly merges identities. The great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. Thus, by the New Testament era, Satan equals the devil. He is an intelligent, supernatural rebel against God. He's linked to the serpent of Eden. He seeks to destroy faith, deceive humanity, and oppose Christ's mission. Key point. The New Testament fully equates the devil with Satan, establishing him as God's supernatural enemy. For Christian theology, the devil as cosmic rebel. As Christianity grew, church fathers, theologians, and later mystics expanded on Satan's story. Church fathers. Early theologians like Justin Martyr, Irenaeus, Tertullian, and Origen identified the devil as a fallen angel originally created good, leader of a rebellion against God, the serpent in Eden who deceived Eve, the prince of this world. Origen, 3rd century CE, speculated that all creatures, even the devil, could eventually be restored to God, though this view was later rejected. Augustine, 354 to 430 CE. Augustine solidified the view that Satan and the devil are identical and utterly opposed to God. He taught that Satan fell through pride and envy. Augustine's ideas shaped Western Christianity's demonology for centuries. The Middle Ages. Medieval theologians like Thomas Aquinas described Satan as pure spirit, originally a good angel, as corrupted through free will, as prince of demons, orchestrating temptation and possession. Art and folklore added horns, tails, red skin, and pitchforks, blending biblical imagery with pagan motifs. Reformation and beyond. Protestant reformers, like Martin Luther, vividly believed in Satan as a personal enemy. Luther famously threw an ink pot at the devil during prayer. Later, Enlightenment skepticism challenged belief in a literal devil, but evangelical traditions and popular culture kept the idea alive. Key point. Christian tradition firmly established the devil as Satan, the cosmic rebel against God and the enemy of souls. 5. The devil in popular culture. Over time, the devil transcended theology to become a powerful cultural symbol. Literature. From Dante's Inferno to Milton's Paradise Lost, Satan becomes a tragic, almost heroic figure, a rebel standing against divine authority. Folk beliefs. Medieval Europeans feared witches consorting with the devil. Trials and executions followed. Modern media, movies, novels, and music often depict Satan as suave, cunning, and sophisticated, a tempter rather than a monstrous beast. The devil became shorthand for ultimate evil, temptation, or even subversive charisma. Key point: the devil as Satan has permeated not just religion, but art, literature, and pop culture, shaping the Western imagination. 6. Alternative views, symbol, archetype, or myth. Not all religious thinkers today believe Satan is a literal being. Many scholars and theologians offer alternative interpretations. Symbolic evil. Some see Satan as a metaphor for human sinfulness or social structures of injustice. Psychological archetype. Carl Jung viewed Satan as an archetype, the shadow, representing repressed human instincts. Mythological inheritance. Others see Satan as a mythological evolution, merging figures from Persian dualism, ancient Near Eastern chaos monsters, and Greco-Roman demons. Despite these alternative views, belief in Satan as a personal being persists in many Christian denominations. Key point: today, the devil equals Satan remains both a theological conviction for many believers and a powerful symbol in culture and psychology. The devil equals Satan, one of history's most potent equations. From a mere adversary in the Old Testament to the cosmic enemy of God in Christian theology, the transformation of Satan into the devil reflects humanity's search for answers about evil, suffering, and moral struggle. While ancient texts originally depicted a prosecuting angel or a tester of faith, centuries of theological development and cultural imagination forged a new figure: a fallen angel, the prince of demons, the ancient serpent who deceived Eve, the ultimate tempter of Jesus in the wilderness. This equation, the devil equals Satan, has left an indelible mark on religious doctrine, artistic expression, and popular culture. Whether seen as literal or symbolic, the devil embodies humanity's fear of evil, our fascination with rebellion, and our ongoing struggle to define good and evil in a complex world. So, who is the devil that tempted Jesus in the wilderness? According to Christian tradition, he is Satan, the same cosmic rebel who has battled God from Eden to the end of days. But behind that certainty lies a long history of evolving ideas, revealing how even the devil's identity is as much a reflection of human thought as of eternal truth. A symbolic force? Understanding the devil as metaphor in the temptation of Jesus and beyond. In Christian tradition, the devil who tempts Jesus in the wilderness is widely accepted as Satan, a supernatural, personal being, the enemy of God and humanity. But is that the only way to understand this enigmatic figure? Over centuries, theologians, philosophers, and modern scholars have proposed a radical alternative: that the devil in the wilderness, and perhaps even Satan himself, is not a literal being at all, but a symbolic force representing temptation, inner conflict, and the struggle between good and evil within the human heart. This essay explores this symbolic interpretation in depth. We will examine its roots, historical development, philosophical and psychological perspectives, scriptural support, and the profound implications it carries for faith, ethics, and how we read sacred texts. Setting the stage. The temptation narrative. The story of Jesus' temptation appears in both Matthew 4 verses 1 to 11 and Luke 4 verses 1 to 13. After his baptism, Jesus fasts in the wilderness for 40 days. Then the devil comes to him with 3 offers: turn stones into bread, leap from the temple pinnacle to be miraculously rescued, bow down and gain all the kingdoms of the world. Jesus resists each temptation by quoting Scripture. In the traditional reading, the tempter is Satan, a real spiritual being actively opposing God's mission. But some scholars and theologians suggest these temptations are not external events, but visions or even inner struggles. Key question: is the devil in the wilderness an actual entity, or a dramatic portrayal of Jesus' internal wrestling with human desires? 2. Ancient roots of symbolic interpretation. Although the symbolic view sounds modern, its seeds lie deep in religious tradition. Jewish literature. Ancient Jewish writings sometimes portray forces like Belial, Mastema, or the adversary as personifications of evil or temptation, rather than concrete individuals. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, Belial represents the lot of darkness, essentially a cosmic principle in conflict with God's light. Yet even in these texts, the boundaries between personal beings and abstract forces remain blurred. Ancient writers often used concrete imagery to express intangible realities. Early Christian thought. Some early Christians leaned toward symbolic readings. Origen, 3rd century CE, acknowledged demons and the devil as personal beings, but often interpreted demonic battles allegorically, representing inner moral conflicts. The Alexandrian school of exegesis favored spiritual or symbolic readings of Scripture, seeing physical events as metaphors for spiritual truths. So while belief in a literal devil dominated, symbolic interpretations were never completely absent. 3. The rise of psychological and philosophical perspectives. Modern interest in the devil as a symbol intensified in the Enlightenment and beyond, as science and psychology reshaped how people understood evil. Enlightenment rationalism. Thinkers like Spinoza and Voltaire rejected the devil as superstition. Instead, they viewed evil as the result of human ignorance, fear, or social injustice, not a supernatural being. Romanticism. Writers like Goethe in Faust depicted Mephistopheles as a wry symbol of human ambition and existential struggle, rather than a purely supernatural villain. Psychology. Freud and Jung. In the 20th century, psychological theories profoundly influenced symbolic readings of the devil. Sigmund Freud saw religious concepts like the devil as projections of unconscious fears and guilt. Carl Jung offered one of the most compelling symbolic interpretations. For Jung, the devil is an archetype, the shadow representing repressed or denied aspects of ourselves. When unacknowledged, these forces manifest destructively. In Jung's reading, the devil is part of us, not an external monster. This psychological lens recasts the wilderness temptation as Jesus facing archetypal human desires, physical needs, pride, and power. 4. The devil as symbol of temptation. Consider the 3 temptations in the wilderness story. Each symbolizes a universal human struggle. 1. Stones into bread, physical needs. Command these stones to become bread. Jesus was starving. The devil's suggestion is not merely about bread, but about using divine power for selfish gratification. Symbolically, this temptation speaks to our physical appetites, the drive for comfort over principle, the tension between spiritual calling and bodily needs. Modern interpreters suggest this reflects an inner struggle in Jesus. Will he serve his mission or satisfy his own hunger? 2. Leap from the temple, pride and spectacle. If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down. The devil quotes Scripture, urging Jesus to force God into miraculous rescue. Symbolically, this temptation represents religious pride, the desire for public recognition, testing God rather than trusting Him. This could depict an inner dialogue. Should Jesus prove Himself spectacularly, or remain faithful to a quieter path of suffering and humility? 3. Kingdoms of the world, power and compromise. All these I will give you if you fall down and worship me. Here the devil offers Jesus political power without the cross. Symbolically, this is the allure of shortcuts, compromise with evil to achieve good ends, choosing worldly glory over divine purpose. Many scholars see this as Jesus confronting the possibility of achieving messianic kingship by force rather than sacrifice. Biblical evidence for symbolic reading. Is there scriptural support for seeing the devil symbolically? Literary structure. Some scholars note the temptation narrative resembles midrash, an interpretive story rather than a strict historical account. For example, the 40 days echo Israel's 40 years in the wilderness. Jesus' temptations mirror Israel's failures. Hunger, complaining about manna. Testing God, demanding signs. Worshipping idols, the golden calf. Thus, the story may depict Jesus symbolically succeeding where Israel failed. Visionary language. Matthew and Luke write that the devil showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. This suggests a visionary experience rather than a physical conversation. Such language opens the door for symbolic interpretation. Absence in Mark. Mark's Gospel, the earliest, mentions Jesus being tempted by Satan but gives no details. The elaborations in Matthew and Luke may be theological expansions meant to convey deeper truths. 6. Benefits of the symbolic view. Why consider the devil a symbol rather than a being? 1. Aligns with modern worldviews. Many modern believers struggle to accept literal demons in an age of science and psychology. A symbolic reading allows faith to speak meaningfully without conflicting with empirical knowledge. 2. Focuses on personal responsibility. If the devil is symbolic, evil is not an external force making us sin, but the responsibility of human choice. This echoes James 1 verse 14. Each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. Symbolism emphasizes inner transformation over external blame. 3. Explains universal human experience. Every human faces desires for comfort, pride, and power. The symbolic devil represents these inner forces. Jesus' victory offers a model for overcoming temptation. 4. Retains spiritual depth. Seeing the devil symbolically does not strip away spiritual meaning. Instead, it deepens it, inviting reflection on the inner battles we all face. 7. Challenges to the symbolic view. Of course, symbolic interpretation is not without problems. 1. Scriptural testimony. The New Testament consistently speaks of the devil as a personal being who deceives, tempts, and opposes God's work. Revelation explicitly describes Satan as the great dragon, who is called the devil and Satan. Revelation 12 verse 9. A purely symbolic reading risks ignoring this language. 2. Historical faith. Christian tradition for 2 millennia has affirmed Satan's personal existence. Many theologians argue this belief is not optional for Orthodox faith. 3. Spiritual warfare. For believers worldwide, especially in Pentecostal and charismatic circles, the devil's literal presence remains crucial for understanding spiritual warfare. The symbolic view may feel too abstract or disconnected from lived spiritual experience. 8. A middle path, symbol and reality. Some theologians propose a middle path. They affirm the devil as real, but suggest that biblical writers used symbolic language to convey the devil's nature. For example, Satan is real but manifests through human systems, political oppression, injustice, corruption. The wilderness temptation was real, but also represents Jesus' internal struggle. The devil is both an external adversary and a symbol of inner darkness. This approach preserves the cosmic dimension of evil while recognizing the psychological truths embedded in Scripture. 9. The temptation narrative's enduring power. Whether one sees the devil as literal or symbolic, the temptation narrative carries timeless power. A story of identity. At its core, the wilderness story is about identity. If you are the Son of God, will Jesus define himself by comfort, spectacle, or power? It forces the question, who are we truly? A model for overcoming temptation. Jesus responds to each temptation with scripture and fidelity to his mission. This offers believers a pattern for resisting destructive desires. A universal human drama. Even apart from religious belief, the narrative speaks to the allure of easy solutions, the seduction of ego and power, the struggle to remain faithful to higher purpose. The devil as symbol, a lens into the human soul. Is the devil who tempted Jesus in the wilderness a real supernatural being, or a symbolic force representing the universal human struggle against temptation and evil? Perhaps the answer lies in paradox. Even if one affirms Satan's existence, the power of the wilderness story lies in its symbolic resonance. It dramatizes the hidden battles of every human soul, the inner voice urging compromise, the subtle rationalizations, the hunger for power and security. To see the devil as a symbol is not to dismiss Scripture, but to discover new layers of meaning. Psychologically, the story reveals our own shadows. Ethically, it challenges us to resist easy compromises. Spiritually, it calls us to define ourselves by God's purpose, not by comfort or power. In the wilderness, Jesus faced the devil and triumphed. Whether one believes that devil was an external being or an inner force, the message endures. True victory lies not in avoiding temptation, but in faithfully choosing the good, even in the harshest desert of the soul. Thanks for joining me as we uncovered the truth behind the devil who tempted Jesus in the wilderness. Whether you see him as a literal being, a cosmic force, or a powerful symbol, one thing's clear. This story reveals deep truths about temptation, faith, and the battle between good and evil. If this blew your mind or sparked new questions, hit that like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. And don't forget to check out my other videos exploring hidden secrets of the Bible and ancient history. Until next time, stay curious.